one thing also that's very apparent in all of your writings is that you're very careful to say, be careful what you ask yourself, and be careful of the questions you ask yourself. And there's one story that comes to mind is the story of the toll booth when you were late for your meeting, where you said to yourself, can anything else go wrong?
Yep.
And it did. Can you share that story? And mainly, I mean, the story is a very key factor, but the biggest point that I took away from it, anyways, was the result
Yeah.
of how this shift in you changed and what result you got from it.
Yep. Yeah, and this story exemplifies how powerful laughter can be. And it was in the middle of my comedy career, and I was in New York City, and I had a rental car that kept breaking down, and it was 98 degrees, and the air conditioning isn't working, and sweat's pouring down my face, and I'm in the world's biggest traffic jam, and I'm already about a half hour, 35 minutes late for a very important audition. And I'm losing it, and I'm feeling this snowball of negativity building up, and I'm like, oh man, what else could possibly happen? As you said, don't ever ask that question, because as soon as you do, the universe will answer you. And it did. Okay, I'll show you. And I drive up to the toll booth, and I go to pay the guy, and I realized I left my money home. I don't know what possessed me. I just looked at the guy in the booth, and I said, I'll have a couple of burgers, 2 fries, and get something for yourself there, Sparky. Now, apparently, Dan, this guy in the toll booth was new in this country, and I didn't know this, and he didn't understand American humor. So the poor guy looks at me and he goes, I'm very sorry, but we do not have food here. And I said, well, then you better get it because you're holding up traffic. Now, all of a sudden, I notice he's starting to laugh. Now, so am I. But all the cars in back of me, they're beeping the horns and they're going, come on, move it. We got to get going, for crying out loud. What the heck is going on up there? I swear to you, my newfound friend in the toll booth sticks his head out of the booth, motions to all of the other cars and says, I'm very sorry, but we ran out of food. Try the next booth. By then, we were hysterical. We were high-fiving each other. The coolest thing is that he let me go without paying. He looked at me and he said, listen to me, my friend. I want to tell you, this toll is on me. I have to tell you that I am brand new in this country, and this is only my second day on the job. And believe me when I tell you, I really needed to laugh today. And I looked at him and I said, so did I. Now, here's the point. I drove away because of the laughter, because I felt lighter. I drove away from that toll booth in a totally, totally different state of mind. As a result, it was a major shift. That's why I call humor the instant mind shift. As a result, I was able to plant at that moment positive thoughts in my head, constructive ways on how I can deal with this very important audition that I had coming up. And guess what? I had a great audition. And it's a good thing I did. Led to the most important break of my comedy career. That's how I got my first Showtime special. And that special paved the way for every other special that I've ever gotten. Now, here's the point. What do you think would have happened if I would have drove away from that toll booth in the mood that I was in before the toll booth incident? I wouldn't have had a chance. Not in the mood that I was in. Not in the mood. As a matter of fact, I was trying to think of ways I can turn the car around so I can go home. And even when I got into the audition, I was so confident that I was going to have a great audition. They said, I'm sorry, you're too late. You can't do this. I wouldn't take no for an answer. I started cracking all these jokes, and I said, well, I'm not leaving. I sat on the floor. Finally, they said, okay, do it. I kicked butt. I know. I kicked butt on the audition. Now, I started looking back on this incident and reflecting years later because I didn't understand it quite then. And I realized, what was it that turned it around? And I realized it's only when I started laughing was I able to think positive. And the reason for that is when you start laughing at something upsetting such as that, your brain is no longer focusing on the negative situation. Your brain is now somewhere else. It's focusing on something else, something ridiculous that you just did or said. And even if your brain does go back to the negative situation, which it eventually will do, it won't be as overwhelming as it was before. Why? Because you've calmed your nervous system down to the point where you can control the situation instead of having that situation control you. Dan, that was one of the first times, well, with total clarity anyway, the first time in my life that I realized how powerful laughter can be. It nipped negative thoughts in the bud before they blossomed into emotional havoc. You never know an opportunity is going to knock. Never. and you have to be emotionally stable when opportunity's there. Nothing can stifle opportunity more than negativity, fear, or anger. Opportunity could be screaming right in your face, right there, but you'll never be able to acknowledge it if you're smothered with any kind of negative emotion.